What's up, my channel? It's your friendly neighborhood sassy blonde writer coming at you with a writing video. Today we are talking about more mystery tropes, specifically Nancy Drew. Got it, it's locked. Now, I myself do love a good Nancy Drew mystery. Specifically, I do enjoy the Nancy Drew games. I remember playing them when I was little, and then as I've gotten older, it's one of those things where some of them have gotten easier as I've gotten older, and some of them have definitely stayed as difficult as they were when I was a child, which is great for my self-esteem. But anyways, the last time we were here, we were talking about mystery tropes and the mystery genre, specifically cozy mysteries. Now, when I think of cozy mysteries, I think of course, is Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. About as cozy mystery as you can possibly get. Now, what is a cozy mystery, you ask? Well, I shall tell you. Well, a cozy mystery, also sometimes referred to as a cozy, is a subgenre of crime fiction or mysteries where violence and a scandal always occurs off-screen or off-stage, or just it's not included in the book. I call it the prim and proper sister to the detective novel. The detective is often an amateur sleuth or an amateur detective, and the crime and detection takes place usually a small town or within, if it's in a city, it's within one type of community. If it was within, I don't know, Paris, it would be within 1 block radius of Paris or something like that. Or it would be within the fashion district or the fashion community of Paris. It wouldn't encompass everybody in the city. A lot of times in cozy mysteries, it features one character who just keeps encountering mystery wherever they go. I think T.A. Woods actually has a collection of short stories that is literally titled Mystery Follows Her, about a character her life is just, mystery just follows her. But again, they're an amateur sleuth, so it's not like they're not professional. Stuff just keeps happening to them. So one really good example of this that's not Nancy Drew is Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote, because she is not a detective. She is a writer. Murder, She Wrote. She is a detective novelist. She writes Whodunnit, and she just keeps finding crime wherever she goes. But everything scandalous and violent seems to be happening conveniently off screen because it was television back in the day, so that's just how it happened. But that was a long-running joke, is that no matter where she goes, somebody dies. And so Jessica Fletcher, probably the adult example of a cozy mystery, and then of course you have our girl, Nancy Drew, teen version of the cozy mystery. So who is Nancy Drew? Let's talk about her. Nancy Drew is a fictional character. She is a teen sleuth from the American Mystery series created by publisher Edward Stratmeyer as the female counterpart to his Hardy Boys series. The character first appeared in 1930s. The books are ghostwritten by a number of authors and published under the collective pseudonym Carolyn Keene. Over the decades, the character evolved as a response to changes in U.S. culture and taste. Really interesting because there are so many books in that genre, and they've also been published and then republished, and then some of them have been taken out of print because some of them have aged poorly. Also, some of them, because they've been ghostwritten, it's also some of the ghost writers have had less progressive views. But yeah, so it's interesting to see the different iterations of Nancy Drew. But there's also, on the other side of things, there's also a specific video game series by Her Interactive that does point and click and puzzle games all about Nancy Drew. I think they just released, I think it's their 33rd game, Midnight in Salem, which I played. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, so that's interesting as well to kind of see how all the different forms of Nancy Drew, Sherlock, Scooby-Doo, these are mystery characters that never really seem to go away. Kind of fascinating in and of itself. Anyway, so there's always a version of Nancy Drew in pop culture somewhere, which I just find fascinating. But through Nancy Drew and a study of Nancy Drew and different cozy mystery genres, we get a lot of the cozy mystery tropes through Nancy Drew books and the games. Well, I'm gonna be honest, the games I am more familiar with. I have read T.A. Woods' cozy mystery recently though, and it's very nice. But cozy mysteries, what's fun about them is detective novels, you read them and you kind of just feel cynical about the whole world, and you're like, ugh, every human being is garbage. Ugh, I'm just gonna stay home. Or sometimes you read them and you're terrified because the world just seems scary, because a lot of times detective novels have elements of thriller to them as well. But you read a cozy mystery and then everything's just kind of wrapped together with a neat bow. You're just like, it's nice. It's kind of the book equivalent of like having a nice cup of hot chocolate on a cold, stormy night. It's just nice. So, without further ado, let's talk about some of my favorite tropes from the Nancy Drew / cozy mystery category. So these are some of my favorite tropes that I've seen. When I wrote a cozy mystery Nancy Drew style novel, I just had to incorporate because, like, duh. This wasn't on my original list, but of course you have to include the secret passageway. Is it really a cozy mystery if there's no secret passageway? I mean, it's just one of those boxes, like, you have to tick it. If your character goes to a bookshelf and pulls out a book and it doesn't revolve and there's no secret door, I don't want to read it, I don't want to watch the movie, I don't want to see it. It's got to be a secret passageway in your cozy mystery, or I don't want to see it. Next one, writing indentation clue. So this is when you're reading the indentation of notes on a separate piece of paper. So writing indentation clues is when you have the character who is actively keeping track of their notes. It's more common in graphic novels, I think, or in books intended for a younger audience, because for some reason some publisher decided that adults don't need books with cool fonts or pictures in them, which was rude, but this is the world we live in now, whatever.
So it's actually one of those things that's a little bit easier to show than tell, but as you can see in this example, in the Nancy Drew game, there is a case journal, and then there are notes that Nancy has been actively taking about the different details going on in the story.
This is when you can read the indentation of notes written on a separate piece of paper, so you can just like refer back to the notes that like Nancy's keeping track of. Another version of this trope is also in, you can see it like if there's a phone call between like Nancy and her boyfriend Ned, and she just starts like rehashing everything that's happened so far, and then as she's rehashing, she starts like just basically itemizing all the different clues she's seen, and then that's how you kind of get the gist of, oh, so these were the important things so far. Got it. Another one of my favorite tropes, which always happens, I can't remember if it happens a lot in books, but I know it happens a lot in the games, so I will be talking about the games more. For this one is the Whodunnit to me. Someone survives a murder attempt or comes back from the dead and tries to find out who it was who killed them or tried to kill them. Honestly, this happens all the time to Nancy in the computer game, to the point where you kind of wish one of her friends would just wrap her in bubble wrap or something, or put one of those little like car trackers on her, like for Breaking Bad or something. One game, I think it's like Ghost Dogs and Moon Lake, where she gets locked in a closet. Yeah, she gets locked in a supply crate or something that's on fire, and you have to try to get out. And if you don't get out, you die. And then there's another thing where you're locked in a cave. You have to pick the right way out of the cave. That's Sea of Darkness. You don't find your way to the phone to get out of the cave, and you die. Which is sad, because that's like the end of the game. The shell game. Oh, that's like the shell game, like, alright, I'm gonna put 3 things. Well, there's one thing under these 3 shells. Let me shuffle them around so that there's 2 or more identical things are shown. One is significant, and we initially know which is significant until the objects get mixed up. I feel like that always happens with briefcases. Always happens with it, where it's like, alright guys, I got my super important briefcase here. Nobody lose track of it. Puts briefcase down, immediately gets mistaken for someone else's briefcase. It's fun to include. It's not always, it's always sometimes confusing to write, but it's fun to include. Another one is a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma, which is somebody describes a frustrating mystery as 3 mysteries in one, which I feel is just a Nancy Drew game. Many times, the Nancy Drew games tend to just start off as 1 mystery, but then you end up having to actually 3 mysteries in a trench coat, where in order to solve one mystery, like, why everything on the ranch is going missing, you also have to solve, for where the old man's treasure is in the mine. That's out of town. You also have to figure out what the missing ranch hand's deal is. 3 mysteries all together. It's super fun because the ranch hand doesn't want to talk to anybody. So the 3 mysteries in a trench coat is what I'm going to call this one. That one's fun because, I mean, it's a lot to untangle. So I feel like it's fun because you have to untangle it, but it's also like frustrating because it's a lot to untangle at once. Saying too much. That one's always fun. That one's fun from a writing perspective. It's also super convenient because, I mean, somebody accidentally reveals plot-sensitive information. I mean, it's just the blabbermouth that's too much. Is like, I've said too much. And then, what's gonna happen next? Oh my god, who knows? Key to this one, when you write it, is you have to make the audience like work for it. You have to make your sleuth work for it. Where they have to encounter a lot of people, or they really have to like do a lot for this one person to get them to say too much. Like, they have to do this person a lot of favors to get on their good side, to get them to open up, and then they reveal too much and then they clam up. This one is puzzle thriller. This one's probably the hardest one to write because, I mean, it's easy to like imagine a puzzle, but it's hard to like verbalize how someone solved the puzzle. So the mystery story where the mystery is, how does it all work? So it's not a Nancy Drew story until this girl is solving some puzzles. Now, when I see this, I think literally the puzzle thriller, like you're literally solving puzzles. But it can also be like figurative. I think the Nancy Drew game Labyrinth of Lies, that is probably the like big picture like puzzle thriller of like, how does this whole operation with these people work? Where that's the fun part, is uncovering what each of their roles are. Their roles in the play based off the Greek myth of Persephone is all tied together, what their actual role in the real plot is. This one we talked about already a little bit, which is the Jessica Fletcher and Nancy Drew, the mystery follows her. The mystery magnet, where it's somebody who just attracts mysteries everywhere they go. I especially love whenever people traveling with this person are very tongue-in-cheek about that, because the audience knows without this there's no plot of the show and they wouldn't be watching. I always think this is funny. I know most people don't, but I always think it's funny because most people are like, why are you saying that? Like, you wrote, like, this is the writer saying that. You wrote this show, but I think it's funny just because it's very tongue-in-cheek. The characters traveling with this person are just like, can we have one normal vacation? Just once? Then, of course, you have the fair play whodunit. One of my least favorite tropes is the clueless mystery, which is a mystery where the reader or viewer cannot follow along at all, which tends to be the Sherlock Holmes trope. That's a topic for another video. But the fair play whodunit is what I really like about cozy mysteries, where the audience can follow along with what's happening and actually solve the mystery with the detective as they go through the story. That's what I really like. I don't like feeling clueless. I don't feel like I don't know what's going on. Or I don't like feeling like that when I'm watching a movie or I'm watching a TV show. I don't like sitting there just being like, how was I supposed to know that? So I don't like clueless mysteries, but I really enjoy the fair play whodunit. That's one of the things that really draws me to cozy mysteries. Another hallmark, of course, of cozy mystery genre is the evidence scavenger hunt, where there's a whole scene where the protagonist is just searching for clues. If you play any point-and-click mystery games, that's, the game is just literally pointing and clicking and searching for clues. And then there's, of course, the driving question, when the whole story revolves around some sort of mystery. The driving question is always the mystery. It's just solving the mystery. That's all I've got for you today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of this type of content where I kind of deconstruct these tropes and different character studies, and if you have any suggestions for any cozy mysteries that I should check out, please put them in the comments below. I love adding things to my reading list. Please remember to like this video if you enjoyed it, so I know you want more content like this, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Wednesdays, and of course, happy mystery solving.